Hello again, everybody. This is Ed with another episode of Call Me Mr. Broadstreet. Sorry I was out of commission last week, but just was a slight bit under the weather. Allergies and all with the summer and whatever's going on with the weather outside, or what passes for weather. But just wanted to come back to everybody. Thank you all for sticking with me, of course, through all of this. To all the current subscribers and new subscribers, just make sure to give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Now, here's the question. Sometimes, is the sequel as good as the original? Well, that's kind of what we dive into this week with the Live 8 DVD, not to be confused with Live Aid, but Live 8, as in the G8 at the time. This was a concert held on July 2nd, 2005. It was nearly 20 years to the day, almost, from the original Live Aid, which was held in 1985. Now, of course, you get a whole bunch of performers on this, particular DVD set. Obviously, I'm highlighting just some of the folks on the back of the list. You get Paul McCartney returning, of course. You get late, great James Brown performing. You get U2 returning from the original concert. Bob Geldof and the Boomtown Rats kind of reunited for, I Hate Mondays. I don't like Mondays. Sorry, I don't like Mondays. They're kind of their one, big famous song, of course. And just looking through, you get Madonna from the previous concert, of course, Elton John, you get Duran Duran. So you get a couple of the folks. You get a couple of the then new up-and-coming acts. Well, relatively new. I mean, Destiny's Child before they, broke up, I guess, or whatever. And, Beyonce does her thing now. You got Snoop Dogg. He must have been green with envy. Just reading off the list here. And of course, it's very interesting to sort of revisit this concert. In particular, of course, with the performance of Paul McCartney in particular. So he opens up with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, with U2 as the guests. And of course, from the clips, you do see him, U2, performing the opening track of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. They have the costumed folks out, dressed as Sgt. Pepper and the band from the 1967 Beatles album cover, in the Sgt. Pepper suits, with a couple of horns and everything to add a little bit of flourish to the track. Very nice opening, of course, for the event. Now, the event, again, was held in London and Philadelphia as well, so, you kind of get a repeat of the Live Aid concert. Now, is it as good as the original, as I stated in the beginning? Not quite. I mean, it is very good. It is still very essential to have. I think if I'm still going to pick between Live Aid and this Live 8 DVD box set, I would go with the Live Aid concert from 1985 as the top, most iconic concert. To keep reviewing a little bit with the music, of course, for Paul McCartney's part, at least keeping it Beatles related, you get some kind of closing tracks for the London portion of the concert. This time he kind of got to make up for the Let It Be issue that he had back in 1985. I already covered that in the last video. If you want to go ahead and take a look, please do, by the way. And also, before I continue, if there's any comments or anything below, if you attended this event or both Live Aid and this event, please leave the comments below. I'd really love to hear the feedback from everybody. But for the closing, portions for Paul McCartney, of course, we Get Back. Again, I've been saying that quite a lot this year, given the documentary. But that's a natural choice. It's a Beatles song, of course, a crowd pleaser. You get a duet of Drive My Car with George Michael, the late George Michael, of course, at this point. Hard to believe that it's been 17 years. 17 years since this concert. So a lot of time has passed. Unfortunately, some folks no longer with us, even between this concert and as of the taping of this video. You get Helter Skelter. Helter Skelter, that's kind of been one of Paul's ending songs, with a lot of different tours, going back to the 2002, back in the U.S. tour, kind of as the start of everything, with that being used as the closing track. You also get a final mashup of the well, I should say mashup, really, should I? But final song of Long and Winding Road, that segues into Hey Jude, lead the crowd into the sing-along. Again, Hey Jude, that's been a concert staple for even when I saw him back in 1989, he was doing that in concert, kind of the very familiar script to folks out there, Now this side, now this side, now this side. I know that's been covered in other reviews and videos of folks I follow as well online. We do get the reunion of Pink Floyd as kind of an event for this concert. Kind of amazing when you think about that, from my understanding, and I'm not a Pink Floyd expert, that things between Roger Waters and Dave Gilmour could be a bit frosty at times. Let's just say that. But that they were able to actually put aside their differences and donate their time to a cause, that kind of speaks volumes to the sum being greater than the individual parts. This was the only time that I'm aware of that they reunited post, early 80s that I'm aware of. If other folks have other information on that, let me know. Of course, David Gilmour, having worked with Paul McCartney on Rockestra from 1979, worked on No More Lonely Nights in 1984, also working with Paul for the Run Devil Run album back in 1999. And I think they've been friends since, the mid-70s, I want to say, so almost a 50-year friendship between the two. But yeah, that they were able to get the band back together, so to speak, says a lot. There's now one other portion of this concert that kind of stands out. It's not quite a musical moment. Yeah, it is during Madonna's set, but it's her coming out with a woman who was actually one of the children featured in the original Live Aid footage. When they're showing the video of all the people starving in Ethiopia, I'm probably going to mispronounce the name, but the name was Burhan Woldu, at least as she was known at the time. And that kind of speaks to my last point with the Live Aid concert previous video, which is basically along the lines of the aid getting to everybody that it needs to. And again, I know that's a whole other conversation. Of course, did it help people? Of course, it did. Definitely I'm all for whatever can help another fellow human being in suffering. Totally good. I'm totally on board with that. I think just it can be tricky with getting things to the appropriate people, and it certainly was a messy situation in Ethiopia. I haven't kept up on it, obviously. I don't really know what the current situation is, but between what happened at least with 1985 and 2005, they bring her out as a then 23, 24-year-old out on the stage. And of course, she's kind of reveling for that moment in the spotlight. Bob Geldof saying, see, it actually does work. It did save this person. And full credit, it did. Whomever it saved, it obviously worked for them. It hopefully provided a better life. But this sort of speaks to a double-edged sword. Now, when I was doing a little bit of research for this episode, I know that after this particular concert, so we're going from 2005 up until about now, I think there was a look back about 2015 or so for the 30th anniversary of Live Aid and pretty much the 35th anniversary in 2020. I'm aware that she married and had 2 daughters. Okay, great. Happy ending. Wonderful. The sad part is, at least as of a 2015 interview that I was able to dig up, that she was living kind of anonymously due to the double-edged sword of fame, so to speak. So again, it goes back to the fact that, sure, it's meant to help people. Wonderful thing. You won't ever hear me argue against that. But also, did it do harm in some way? That can be the double-edged sword of any type of rock festival. Certainly, you want to see the big-name acts, no doubt. Whether it's Bangladesh from 1971 with George, Live Aid from 1985, all the different concerts and festivals. You want the money and the supplies to go to people. Certainly no problem with that whatsoever. But again, is it impacting people's lives in a negative way? Just more of a philosophical question as I wrap up this review. As far as the music itself, very well done, very competent. I would say add this to your collection. I know that at the time, proceeds were being donated to the Live Aid or Live Aid Fund. I do have to comment that, yeah, in a couple of the pictures that you've seen, of course, one of the G8 members was one certain Russian president who shall remain nameless. But I laugh to keep from wondering because that hasn't aged quite as well. Again, nobody could foresee the totally horrible things that were going to happen later on, or at least maybe people weren't paying attention at the time. Who knows? But, that hasn't quite aged as well. But as far as the music, I recommend it. I think it's a good piece of Beatles memorabilia, certainly for the Paul McCartney component. You get some of the folks from the original Live Aid concert coming back for the part two, as it were. Like I said, the folks I mentioned, I think I mentioned Elton John, of course. You get Brian Wilson, you get The Who, so you get a whole bunch of people. And again, folks that were the up-and-coming acts at the time, back in 2005, who are now considered the senior acts because other younger folks have come up during that time. It's the way of music. It's the way of the entertainment industry. There is going to be a youth-focused element to it, of course. But that's it for this week, so I just hope everybody enjoyed the review. I'm getting back to other reviews as well. And just also, if anybody happens to be watching this at the Chicago Beatle Fest, I hope you guys are having a blast. Unfortunately, I won't be attending virtually this year. I'm trying to save up and get things ready for the spring 2023 Beatle Fest, or Fest for Beatles fans. See, I keep going with that again, in New Jersey. That's up and coming. And I can't wait for that. I really can't wait to meet folks in person. But have fun at the Chicago Fest. I hope everybody's having a great time. Thank you for watching this video. I just hope you give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Back on track, and let's keep going. So I'll see everybody in the next review. Bye.